is my life an accident? Or is my life given me by God for a purpose? And obviously, guys, if there is no God, the only question you guys have to answer is, why not commit suicide? As Albert Camus pointed out. Because if there is no God...
He answered why not.
Yeah.
He answered why not.
And what's his answer?
The answer was, because we choose to make our own meaning, we choose to create our own love, and we create our own being, which is a lot of the work that MLK himself even pulled off of. So, the answer is not to just commit suicide. That's a complete bastardization of all of what Camus and Sartre and Kierkegaard and Nietzsche and all the rest of them were. I mean, I'm fine if you don't agree with them, but don't create a straw man.
I'm not creating a straw man. No, I'm not. You're being very dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
That is not...
Camus clearly pointed out, the only question modern man must answer is, why not commit suicide? Why? Because for Camus, there is no God, which means life is a cosmic accident, which means there's no purpose to life, there's no meaning to life. You can go ahead and create your own purpose. So if I want to create my purpose as, the purpose of my life is to slap him and slap him and slap him some more, that's just as cool as if I say, the purpose of my life is to pull out my wallet and give him money for dinner. It's totally arbitrary. It's ultimately meaningless. And that's why Camus said, now, in light of the meaninglessness of life, you guys got to figure out why keep sucking wind. Why not just commit suicide? I respect Camus highly. He was intellectually consistent.
But he didn't actually suggest that we commit suicide. He said that we can come up with our own meaning and our own way of creating love and purpose.
Just as long as you admit that whatever meaning and purpose you've created is your taste, which means it's just along the same lines of, do you prefer broccoli or beans? Do you prefer Coke or Pepsi? It's just a taste. So do you prefer murdering people or loving people? Do you prefer raping people or do you prefer respecting people? It's just your taste because you create it in your head. That's where it's created by.
You just went from theology over to ethics. That is an unfair sleight of hand.
Oh, no, it's not. It's straight logical thinking. You can't follow logic. I'm sorry, I can't communicate more simply. It's real simple. If this man is a cosmic accident, and if I am a cosmic accident, then what he does to me, what I do to him, is totally relative, totally meaningless. Whatever you feel like doing to me, you do. Whatever I feel like doing to him, I do. He's not right, I'm not wrong. I'm not right, he's not wrong. It's all relative. Which means it doesn't matter whether you're Adolf Hitler II or whether you're Mother Teresa II. You just choose. And whatever you choose, it's your choice. But you see, what you got to then acknowledge is, it really is meaningless. Because it's just as legitimate for you to choose to be Adolf Hitler as it is for you to choose to be Mother Teresa. It's your choice. Now, you see, guys, you don't like that, and I'm glad you don't. Because it's going to get real scary when you guys think, yeah, that's really cool. And you see, that's what Camus and Nietzsche and Sartre had the honesty to face. But this is scary. Really scary if you think about it. See, friends, it makes a lot more sense of your life to say and to acknowledge life is a gift from God. He's not an accident. He's a human being created in the image of God. That's why it does matter how I treat him. And if I diss him, if I demean him, that is evil. That is sin. And guess what? I am a sinner. That's why I need God's forgiveness. That's why I need Jesus Christ. Because I have demeaned people. And my conscience has convicted me. That is wrong. I know it's wrong. And I think every one of you know it's wrong when you demean someone or when someone demeans you. I don't think you have to have a PhD in ethics to figure that one out. Does that make sense?
No.
All right, what doesn't make sense about it, man?
You're making all sorts of jokes.
Oh, really? What doesn't make sense?
Okay, so if we start with the premise that there is a God, then yeah, all of your line of reasoning is, it's sufficeable. But you're begging the question. You're assuming the premise. You're assuming the conclusion in the premise. And are you familiar with St. Anselm?
Yeah.
So St. Anselm said that there are 3 levels of reality. Famous Christian thinker, I'm not borrowing from somebody else, it's your own tradition. He said the first level of reality are things that exist in my mind but have no correlation to anything outside me, i.e. unicorns, right? The second level are things that exist in both. So I have an idea of a spoon in my head, there's something that roughly corresponds, maybe not one-to-one, but close enough.
Yep.
The third level of reality are things that exist outside of me, but not in my mind. And I have no idea what those things are, right? So, for example, infinity. Infinity exists in that third category. If you think about the definition of infinity, it is the negation of limits, which is nothing I can conceptualize. So I put an X over, it's a variable, right? So God, by very definition, either he has to exist in category 1 or category 3. He cannot, by definition, exist in category 2. Because by definition, if you were in category 2, I would be greater. Because I could conceive of that. And God is infinite, and omnipotent, omniscient. He either has to be in category 1 or category 3. He cannot be in category 2.
Where does the Bible say that God is infinite? I've read it for many years.
I am the beginning and the end. There is, I am eternal.
Eternal, yes.
Yes.
Infinite, where does the Bible say God is infinite?
Eternal is directly reliant on the idea of infinite. If I am eternal, that means I have no beginning and I have no end.
God is eternal.
The definition of eternal. The definition of infinite means I have no limits.
Well, God does have limits.
Right?
So God is not infinite. God cannot make a square circle. God cannot choose to do evil. His character is so good, he cannot do evil. So there are limits to God. So that's why I disagree with your statement that God is infinite. Yes, God is eternal, but no. God cannot exist and not exist at the same time in the same way. It's impossible.
Are you claiming then that God exists in category 2?
Sir, I really don't care to jump into your categories. Because you and I obviously have a disagreement on the word infinite. What does it mean?
Okay.
I would insist God is not infinite. Is God eternal? Yes, God is eternal. Is God all-powerful? Yes, but you've got to be real careful with that. Watch. I haul back, smack him as hard as I can. If I turn to you and say, God made me do it, I'm a con artist. God did not make me hit this gentleman. God, who's all-powerful, chose to partially limit his power by giving me a free will. He gave me a hand and a free will. I can pull out my wallet and give him money for dinner, or I can haul back and hit him. God makes me do neither. God has limited his power partially by giving me a free will.
If you don't like the word infinite, that's fine. You can ignore that qualifier.
Okay.
I'm asking you a question.
Yep.
Do you think he fits in category 2?
I told you, I don't know. I don't know your categories of Anselm well enough.
I just told you. Those are
Yeah,
basic
you told me
parameters.
you made one sentence and defied all three. I'm sorry, I don't understand that well enough.
Right. That's fine. But if God does not exist in category 2,
which is?
Exists both in my mind and has a rough one-to-one correspondence to something that exists outside
Do you exist in my mind?
Do I exist in your mind?
Yeah.
I would say probably yes.
So I assume what you mean by that is I can see you and I can think of you, therefore you exist in my mind? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Right.
So I have an idea of a spoon.
Yeah.
A spoon should exist in both, right?
I can imagine a spoon, and a spoon can exist in reality.
Correct.
Okay.
That's category 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
God cannot exist in category 2 is
Why?
my claim. Why? Because I cannot conceive of something that is eternal. I cannot conceive of something that has no beginning and no end. I can't conceive of that.
All right, fine. Okay, well, it's real simple, sir. It's real simple. Yes, I can begin to understand my wife. Do I understand my wife totally? No. I can begin to understand myself. Do I understand myself totally? No. Can I begin to understand God? Yes. Especially when you take Jesus Christ into consideration. When you begin to understand that God loves you and wants to know you personally and did that by becoming man in Jesus Christ, all of a sudden, that opens up the door, not for you and me to totally understand God. I do not totally understand God. I don't totally understand my wife or myself. I'm not going to totally understand God, obviously. But I can partially know my wife, I can partially know myself, and I can partially know God, because God became a human being in Jesus, lived a kind of life that I live, died, rose from the dead, lived a life of incredible integrity. I can begin to know God by putting my faith in Jesus Christ, developing a relationship.